Hare Krishna. So, welcome everyone to this wonderful Gita reading session, Bhagavad Gita reading session that we have every Saturday. Due to some extended services at our Bhakti Center, I was not able to conduct the last session. So, my apologies for that. And yeah, today we will continue from the point where we had left off. So, just a quick recap that we are reading chapter 3 of the Bhagavad Gita, the Karma Yoga, right? And in the Karma Yoga, we were dealing with what? The Karma Kanda section, right? Karma Kanda section, like we were, like reading, and we understood that the yoga is a ladder, okay, and the bottommost rung of that ladder is the Karma Yoga, okay, or Karma Kanda rather, okay, which eventually takes one to the Karma Yoga, and from there, Dhyana Yoga and then Bhakti Yoga. And like this, a person slowly progresses on this yoga ladder, and the culmination is Bhakti Yoga, where a person is fully cognizant about the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna and his relationship, his or her relationship with him, and accordingly, like whatever pleases Krishna, they enter into the devotional service, like that. So this was one part, and also we had seen that Krishna, when he created this material world, he sent generations of demigods and humans, okay, on this planet, on different planets basically, and he also sent yajna, okay, or sacrifices along with them, okay, and he said that be thou happy by performing these sacrifices. That means all the material desires all the material desires be fulfilled, by performance of these sacrifices. Okay. So whenever we perform any yajna or sacrifices, the demigods are pleased, and then the prosperity and happiness will prevail, okay, for us. So this is all that we saw in the previous verses, okay, and today we will continue reading verse number 11, no, sorry, 12 and 13, okay. These two are very heavy verses, okay. Krishna is using literally heavy words in these verses, and some people who are new to Krishna consciousness, or who are not in Krishna consciousness, they might find it a little difficult to comprehend. Okay, but we will try to understand it verse by verse, and hopefully, by the end of these sessions, you will be convinced with what Krishna is saying. Okay, and one more thing, like we also saw that how by performing karma kanda, a person gradually climbs up the ladder. Okay, and ultimately attains the uh, goal of human life, basically to break the cycle of life, death, and rebirth, and go back home, back to Krishna. So a person performs karma kanda slowly because of these performances, because these are in line with these scriptural injunctions. What happens? The person progresses on the path of spirituality, and this karma kanda slowly elevates that person up to the level of karma yoga. Okay. From karma yoga, the person is gradually, moving up the ladder, and ultimately by moving up slowly, you know, as the time progresses, they attain bhakti yoga, and as I said, that they are in the full cognizance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay, so this is all that we had seen so far in the third chapter. We'll start reading shloka number 12 and 13 today, and before that, I would like to perform some pranam mantras, the Mangalacharan, okay, to invoke some auspiciousness, and those who know can repeat after me. Those who don't, just try to listen to these mantras very carefully, very intently, because listening is also very, very purifying. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Gururo Shri Yuta Padkamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधो जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो महावदान्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्यनामिने गौरत्विषे नमः। नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवास आदि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम राम हरे हरे। मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघिते गिरि यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्री गुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानंद माधवं श्री चैतन्य ईश्वर। हरि ओम तत्सत। Okay, so we will start with the verse number 12. I'll share my screen and then we'll read the verse. Oh, I hope my screen is visible. Yes. Okay. So the verse goes like this. Ishtan bhogan hi vo deva dasyante yajna bhavitah तैर्दत्तान प्रदायेभ्यो यो भुङ्क्ते स्तेन एव सः. The translation: in charge of the various necessities of life, the demigods, being satisfied by the performance of yajna or sacrifice, will supply all the necessities to you. But he who enjoys such gifts without offering them to the demigods in return is certainly a thief. Correct? So Krishna is directly calling those people a thief who receive all the necessities from the different demigods. Demigods are basically devis and devatas who receive all the necessities from them, but they use it for their own sense enjoyment, for their own sense gratification, without offering them back to the demigods. Okay. So this is what Krishna is saying. Such a person is definitely a thief. Okay. So, okay, let's analyze this verse and we will also read from the purport. Because in purport, a very beautiful explanation like Srila Prabhupada has given, and his purports are always very, very beautiful and very, very convincing, and with all conviction he has written it. So, yes, uh, we'll read from the purport also, but we'll also try to analyze this verse. Okay. So Krishna says that in charge of the various necessities of life, the demigods, being satisfied by the performance of yajna or sacrifice, will supply all the necessities to you. So in the previous verse, we had seen that in the universal administration, okay, there are different departments, okay, and each department is under the charge of a particular devi or devta or a demigod. Okay, so this is how it goes, and for each demigod, a specific yajna is basically prescribed. Okay, so in order to please them, so when they are pleased, they will give us what we want. Okay, so this is uh, how this universal administration works, basically. Okay, but if those things are not offered back to them, okay, not offered back to the Devi and Devta for to whom we have, for whom we have performed this yajna, if it is not offered them back and it is used for one's own sense enjoyment, then we are certainly thieves. Okay, and Krishna, none other than Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna is saying this. Okay, so there is no denying this fact. Okay, so we'll read a little bit from the purport, and then we'll try to get into further details. Okay. Well, in the Vedas, there are all but In the Vedas, there are different kinds of yajnas prescribed by the different kinds of demigods, but all are ultimately offered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna. Okay, so there are different yajnas, as I said earlier, that there are different yajnas which are prescribed for different demigods, and these demigods are innumerable. Okay, they are very large in number. So 33 crores is their exact number. Some people actually give the misinterpretation that uh, in Sanskrit word koti also means uh, classification or class of a particular devi or devta. So in that way they misinterpret this word koti as a class. Okay, but it's not like that. Okay, koti also means crore. So there are 33 crores devi, 33 crore devis and devtas. Okay, and what we worship at home, the personalities whom we worship at home are just the main ones. Okay, there are so many different devis and devtas, and to satisfy each of them, a specific yajna is performed. Okay, so later on we'll see that how this process is so difficult. Okay, and like right from blinking of your eyes or blinking of your eyes to your proper bowel movement, there is a devi or devta, who is handling that. Okay, so just we can understand that much as of now. Okay, so there are different yajnas which are prescribed for each and every devi and devta, but ultimately all these yajnas are there to satisfy the yajnapati, okay, or the supreme personality of Godhead Krishna or Vishnu. In the previous session we had also seen that yajna is the another name of Lord Vishnu. Okay, so whenever yajna is done to please the demigod, what happens? The demigods first offer that to offer those offerings which have been offered to them to Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna. Okay, Sri Krishna accepts those offerings, and then the demigods in return accept that as a prasad. Okay, and these demigods, let me tell you, are very loyal to Sri Krishna. Okay, they are not like us. That, oh Krishna, you give me a nice 5 BHK villa or a condo, and in return I'll give you 2 coconuts. They don't do that like that. Okay, they don't do it that way. Whatever is offered from our side, they first offer it to Sri Krishna, and then they accept that as a prasad. Okay, so let's continue with the purport. For one who cannot understand what the personality of Godhead is, sacrifice to the demigods is recommended. Okay, so a very important line here. Okay, and what Srila Prabhupada is mentioning here is that not everyone is qualified to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay, that who Krishna is basically. And just ask a question to yourself, like before attending these sessions or before like coming to ISKCON. Okay, what was your concept about the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Okay, so many newcomers who come to our centers, okay, or people who are not in Krishna consciousness. One very prominent question from their side is that there are so many devis and devtas whom to worship. Who is the supreme, right? So this concept itself is not there. That who is the supreme personality of Godhead? Okay, so that means all of us are not qualified to understand who the supreme personality of Godhead is. Okay, so most of the people are happy in their own materialistic life, okay, and with their some own concocted concepts of spirituality, and they are practicing it very nicely, and they are satisfied with that. Okay, there are different categories of people, and we see them, right? And they are not even bothered to ask these questions basically. Okay, so this demigod worship is primarily meant for these people, okay, who have this very lowly lifestyle in terms of spirituality, okay, and those who are very happy with this kind of a lifestyle. Okay, they don't want to change at all. They are in their own comfort zone. Okay, practicing some spiritual things, according to their, whims and fantasies. Okay, so we'll continue. According to the different material qualities of the persons concerned, different types of yajnas are recommended by the Vedas. Worship of different demigods is also on the same basis, namely according to the qualities. For example, the meat eaters are recommended to worship goddess Kali, the ghastly form of material nature, and before the goddess, the sacrifice of animal was recommended. Okay, but for those who are in the mode of goodness, the transcendental worship of Lord Vishnu is recommended. Okay, but ultimately all yajnas are meant for gradual promotion to transcendental position. Okay, this is another very important point to note. Okay, that different demigods basically, or devis and devtas, are there to help an individual to progress on the path of spirituality. Okay, to slowly help them climb up the yoga ladder. Okay, which we have seen, and ultimately reach the supreme personality of Godhead. Okay, that is the ultimate aim of human life. Okay, so these yajnas are very important for those people who are not very intelligent and are very materialistic. Okay, not very intelligent in the sense, I'm not meaning to say that they are dumb or duds. Okay, uh, that they do not have much knowledge about the spirituality. They do not read the scriptures, and their knowledge is very limited. When it comes to spirituality. Okay, so for such unintelligent people, okay, those who are very materialistic, these demigod worship or sacrifices are recommended. Okay, and for those people who all the time they are thinking about their own enjoyment. Okay, so these yajnas basically they do not have any other uh, what to say goal but to help one to slowly elevate themselves on the path of spirituality, slowly elevate themselves in the yoga ladder and move up so that ultimately they can attain the supreme personality of Godhead Krishna. Ultimately, they can break the cycle of life and death. Okay, this is the only purpose of the Vedas. Okay, this is what is written here. Okay, so is the only one reason. Okay, so we'll continue to read. One should know, however, that all the necessities of life that the human society requires are supplied by the demigods, agents of the Lord. Okay, no one can manufacture anything. Okay, so and Srila Prabhupada is actually giving a list of all these things. That whatever is satisfied, whatever is supplied by the demigods to us, basically, and those things cannot be manufactured by us artificially. Okay, for example, these eatables for all the eatables for the human society. These eatables include grains, fruits, vegetable, milk, sugar, etc. Okay, for the person who are in mode of goodness. Okay. Similarly, those who are in the mode of ignorance, okay, for them, they are basically the non-vegetarian folks, okay, who eat meats, different kind of meats. So that is also provided by the Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself, okay. And these devis and devtas, being the agents of the Lord, they are actually, fulfilling these necessities when the human beings perform certain sacrifices or the yajnas. Okay, but we see that none of these things can be manufactured by us. Okay, it is all of this is nothing but the mercy of Sri Krishna on us, and through different devis and devtas, he is actually providing these necessities to us, so that ultimately we can grow in on the path of spirituality. Okay, none of them can be manufactured by the human society. Without the Supreme Lord, there can be no profuse sunlight, moonlight, rainfall, breeze, etc., without which no one can live. Obviously, our life is dependent on the supplies from the Lord. Even for our manufacturing enterprises, we require so many raw materials like metal, sulfur, mercury, manganese, and so many essentials, all of which are supplied by the agents of the Lord with the purpose that we should make proper use of them to keep ourselves fit and healthy for the purpose of self-realization. Okay. So we have seen that in the previous video that in the universal administration, okay, there are different departments as I had mentioned earlier in this session also, and each department has a head. Okay, and who is a particular devi or devta. Okay, they are also the one who provide various necessities for the living entity, and we saw a long list of those things Prabhupada has mentioned in the purport, and none of them can be manufactured by us. Okay, so all these are provided by different devis and devtas under the supervision of Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna. Okay, and why are all these facilities provided? Very important thing to note here again, that one might say that all these things are there for my enjoyment. Okay, that okay. See, generally this is the tendency. Okay, when we see there are so many natural resources, all around us, what do we do? we just think that, oh, this is for free, okay, and we try to exploit that resource to an extent that we ultimately end up exhausting that resource altogether. Okay, a very nice example is the deforestation, or maybe even in any urban area you go. Okay, you will not find an inch of a barren land. Okay, these days it is all taken up by the real estate agents, and they are just constructing multi-storied apartments. That is the case in India. I'm pretty sure in other countries also the things are the same as far as the urban areas are concerned, right? So what is happening when we try to concentrate the population in one section of a city or a town? Okay, all the natural resources are basically exploited. Okay, and it's all of them are under a lot of pressure basically, right? And that is the reason why very recently, like last year in Bangalore, we are seeing the water crisis is there. So much water crisis is there, right? We didn't get enough rain last year, so immediately water crisis was there. So why this is there? Because of our own tendency that whatever we have, we simply think that it's for our own enjoyment, and we start using it whimsically without any restrictions. Okay, it's there, so I'll just use it. Okay, without giving it a second thought. Okay, but this whole purpose of the creation and all the things which were given by the different devis and devtas, okay, was for only one simple reason. Okay, that we simply maintain a healthy body, okay, and march on the path of self-realization and ultimately break this cycle of life and death and go back home, back to Sri Krishna. Okay, there is no other agenda basically, for the creation of this material world. Whatever different activities we are carrying out, okay, I will say it again, that we are simply fooling around, we are simply joking around. Okay, so the only purpose of this human life is that this life is meant for self-realization, to break this cycle of life and death and go back home, back to Krishna. For that, we have to maintain a healthy body. Otherwise, we won't be able to perform any devotional service. Okay, with a sick body or with a weak body, we will not be able to do anything. So, to maintain our body, these all necessities of life are provided by different devis and devtas. So it's very important that we realize this and we use it, all the natural resources that we have all around, just like a necessity. Okay, we should not use it to fulfill our whimsical desire. Okay, so this is a very important point to note. Okay, and this is the only reason why all these things are provided to us. Okay, when we forget the purpose and start using these things for one's own enjoyment, what happens? The person suffers like anything. Okay, and Krishna is also calling such a person as a thief. So that tag is given, to us by Krishna. We are thieves, basically, people who don't offer them back to the demigod. Okay, so simple analogy, which I can think of is, which I think most of you will be able to connect with that. Okay, in the simpler terms, if I try to explain, right? For example, just imagine that like there's a couple, husband and a wife, and they send their kid to a very prestigious university. Okay, um, it's a very expensive university, needless to say, and by working hard all through their life, major portion of their life, they have accumulated some amount so that they are able to send their kid, their sons or their daughters, to such a prestigious university, and so that they can get a good education. Okay, and ultimately, they will be able to get a good job, and they will be well settled in the life. Okay, so this is generally what the mindset of most of the parents are, basically, right? But just imagine the kid goes to the university, and apart from studying, they are doing everything else. Okay, going to the movies, partying around, or anything, like all these activities. Basically, they are indulging in these activities, but they are not paying any attention on the studies. Okay, and as I said, that the university is very expensive, so the parents are paying that money. Okay, not just for their education fees, but also for their accommodation. Okay, where they are staying. Okay, so just imagine, what will you call such a child or such a kid, basically? Certainly, they will be called as thieves, because they are just, throwing away the hard-earned money of their parents, rather like instead of giving their full attention on the studies, they are just throwing it away like anything, okay, by carrying out all these nonsensical activities, okay. So similarly, when the Devis and Devtas, they give us certain necessities of life and we start using it for our own sense gratification, okay, then we will also be called a thief. Why? Because the aim of sending that kid to the university was to get a good education, okay, so that the kid gets a good job, and later on, when the parents grow old, they, you know, like support them or take care of them by earning some good amount of money, okay. But that's not the case, right? The kid has just threw away all that money whimsically in all the unnecessary activities. And what has happened? Like, such a kid will definitely be called a thief, and this is the exact same situation of for all of us. Basically, what is happening, that Krishna is actually authorizing all the different devis and devtas to fulfill the necessities of our lives, okay, but instead of using only the amount which is necessary for us, we are simply using it whimsically, okay, and we are not offering them back. uh, so definitely, like, we are all called thieves by Krishna, okay. So this is what he's mentioning here. So it is very important to give back, actually. Okay, this is what the whole concept is. Okay, that what Krishna is saying here: he who enjoys such gifts without offering them to the demigods in return is certainly a thief. So it is very important to give back, to acknowledge what we have got. Okay, and this is something which people in general, they miss out. Okay, but when it comes to the spiritualists, they don't miss this at all. Okay, they are fully aware of the importance of acknowledging or giving back to the demigods. Okay, whatever we have got, we have to acknowledge. Okay, and this is called yajna. So this is why we perform the yajna, just as a gesture of thanks or a token of appreciation. Okay, we offer something back to the demigods. Okay, and in this way, that cooperation is established between the human race and the demigods, and all our necessities are met. Okay, and uh, what is the yajna that we have to do? Okay, this is the question, and for whom we have to do. Okay, so this question, I think we have answered in several times in our previous sessions. Okay, so in this age of Kali Yuga, only one yajna is recommended, and that is the Sankirtan yajna, chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And by doing this, what happens? The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, he will be pleased. And consequently, as I had mentioned in my previous session, once you water the root of the plant, the entire plant is nourished. Okay. So similarly, when the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is pleased, all the demigods, all the Devis and Devtas will be pleased, and we will be free from all the sinful reactions and debts that we owe to other living entities. So this is what happens when we offer, what the Devis and Devtas are giving to us, offer it back to them as a gesture of thanks. Okay, and saying that, and anything that now the question, the question may arise that what can we give back to them? Okay, what can we give back to them? So and how can we give it back to them? That is the bigger question, actually, right? So anything can be offered, okay, starting from new clothes or any appliance or gadgets. These days, we are surrounded by gadgets and we keep changing it very often, right? So anything we bring new in our home, we should first offer it to Sri Krishna. And how to do that? It's very simple, right? Now one may say that, okay, Krishna is not present in front of me, so how am I going to offer it to them, right? So in this age of Kali Yuga, yes, Krishna may not be present visually. Okay, he cannot be perceived by these material eyes. Okay, but out of his causeless mercy, Krishna has given us, his own avatar. Okay, in this age of Kali Yuga, and that is nothing but the altar or the Archa Vigraha. The where we to put the deities of Sri Radha and Krishna. Okay, so that is known as the Archa Vigraha. Okay, and the deities are known as the Archa avatars, basically. So it's one should not assume that the deities who are there in our altar are just a picture of Krishna or Srimati Radharani and Krishna, or they are just made of a piece of wood or a stone or something like that. No, it is an avatar and incarnation of Krishna, which Krishna, out of his causeless mercy, has bestowed this benediction only for the people of Kali Yuga. Okay, so if we have an altar at home, then you can just put those items, whatever new items we have, in front of Krishna and pray to him that, oh Lord, I want to use this in your service. Okay, please accept it. And once we do that, it gets converted into prasad, right? And then we can utilize it for ourselves. Okay, like that. So this is the process of doing it. Okay, and each and everything that we have in our life, it must be offered to Sri Krishna first. Okay, and then we should accept that as a prasadam. Then our lives will be successful. Okay, so one important question is that this whole thing was about Devis and Devtas. So how come we are talking about offering it to Krishna first? Okay, so again, like as I mentioned earlier, that one, there are 33 crore Devis and Devtas, and for each of them, a specific yajna is basically prescribed. But in just see the fallen condition of people of Kali Yuga, that whimsically we have manufactured our own way of worshipping. Okay, we show some incense sticks, agarbattis in front of our puja room or whatever is there. Okay, and all the we have different kinds of pictures and idols and whatnot, like of different devis and devtas. It's so crowded out there, and then we just show some incense sticks and maybe ghee lamp or something. Okay, and we think that okay, all of them are satisfied. And this is a pure ignorance, right? If you read the Shastras, in the Shastras, it is clearly mentioned that there is a specific yajna prescribed for a specific Devi or a Devta. Okay, and they are 33 crore in numbers. So, what you are going to do? Perform those 33 crore yajnas? Okay. This entire lifetime will not be sufficient, for us to perform, a yajna or a sacrifice of that magnitude. Correct? So, the only way forward, especially in this age of Kali Yuga, where people have such limited time. Okay, people are not having time for themselves, and what to speak of finding time for spirituality these days, right? So the only thing which we can do is that we offer everything to Sri Krishna. Okay, because once you again, we have seen in Srimad Bhagavatam, this sloka in the previous session also I mentioned that if you offer root to the plant, if you offer water to the root of the plant, the entire plant is nourished. Okay, so once similarly, if you satisfy Lord Sri Krishna, all the demigods will be automatically pleased, and a person is basically free from all the sinful reactions and all the debts that he or she owns to the different living entities around them. Okay, so just we need to satisfy Lord Sri Krishna, and just we have seen how to do that. You bring anything new, place it in the altar, pray to Krishna that I want to use it in your service, O Lord. Please accept it, right? Krishna will accept that. It will become a prasadam. Use it as a prasadam, and always chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. This is the sacrifice or yajna which has been recommended for the age of Kali Yuga. Okay, so this is all about the 12th verse. We'll move on to the 13th verse now. This is also a very heavy verse. Okay, so we will again try to read, and we'll first try to read the shloka and the translation, and then we will try to read the purport and try to understand that. Okay, just give me 1 second. Okay, let me share my screen. So, verse number 13, it goes like this. Yajna shishtashinah santo muchyante sarvakil vishay bhunjate te tvagham papa ye pachantyatma karanat. The devotees of the Lord are released from all kinds of sins because they eat food which is offered first for the sacrifice. Others who prepare food for their personal sense enjoyment verily eat only sin. Okay. So two questions are answered basically in this verse. One, that what happens to people who are offering, whatever they have, especially their foodstuffs, to the demigods or to the Lord. Okay. And second, what happens to those people who do not offer anything to the Supreme Personality? Okay, so Krishna is saying the devotees of the Lord are released from all kinds of sins because they eat food which is offered first for the sacrifice, which is first offered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead Sri Krishna and then accepted as a prasadam. Okay, and for others, those who don't do that, and they just cook for their own personal sense enjoyment, they are verily eating only sin. Okay, a very heavy verse again, and we will see why Krishna is saying this. Okay, try to understand that. Okay, so yes, very important thing what Krishna has mentioned here, that we are verily eating only sin. Okay, so when reading this shloka, one thing, first question which comes in our mind is, why is Krishna so eager to accept different things from different offerings from different people? Okay, like does he not get all these things in Golok Vrindavan? Okay, his mother Yashoda not cooking for him properly, or is Srimati Radharani not taking a good care of Sri Krishna there in Golok Vrindavan? No, it's not like that. Okay, Krishna doesn't want it. Okay, it is the devotees who are offering to Sri Krishna out of their own love and affection for him. Okay, as a sense of gratitude, as a gesture of thanks. Basically, he is offering. The devotees, they offer their foodstuffs to Krishna. Basically, okay, and Lord Brahma, actually in the Brahma Samhita, he is saying that the eyes of the devotees are smeared, with ointment of love, anointed with love, basically. Okay, and love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And when they are in love with the Lord, they continuously take darshan of the Lord. They continuously see the Lord within their hearts, basically. Okay. And in this situation, what happens? Whatever is there with the devotees, they first offer it to Krishna before using it for themselves, especially the foodstuffs. Okay. So another analogy I try to explain with another analogy. I think this will make things simpler to understand. Just imagine a mother who is cooking the food, okay, for her kid or for a family, basically. Okay, so can you imagine that a mother cooks the food and she simply starts eating herself first, and the kid is maybe crying outside that, mother, I'm hungry, I want something to eat, and she's saying that there is nothing inside, you go away. Is it possible? Will any mother ever do that to her own kids? No, she will not, right? So why? Why does it happen? Like, we have generally seen that mothers generally cook. They first ensure that everyone in the family has eaten, okay, and then maybe they will eat, or basically they serve to all the other family members, especially her children first, okay, and then she eats the food, basically. Okay. So why is she doing that? Like, has the kid told her that, okay, mother, if you don't give me this, then you will incur sinful reactions, so you have to do this? Is it that way? No, right? So mother is doing this out of her love and affection for the kid, for the child. Correct? And because of this love, automatically this service attitude, okay, comes out. Right? So similarly, the devotees of the Lord are also like that. Just out of the love and affection for the Lord, they are always eager to serve the Lord. Okay. So anything that they have, they will simply first offer it to Sri Krishna. Okay. Krishna never asks for it, that, okay, you give me this, you give me that, or like that, right? He's Lakshmipati, right? He's Atmaram, like he's served by hundreds and thousands of Lakshmis in the Golok Vrindavan, right? Why would he need all these things, right? And like it's just inconceivable, right? But just devotees, out of their love and affection, they simply offer their foodstuffs or anything which they have to Sri Krishna first. Okay, devotees, they don't eat anything without offering the foodstuffs to Krishna. This is the very important, what to say, a principle in Krishna consciousness. Okay, that we eat only Krishna prasad. Okay, and when we do this, like the devotees, they are basically freed from all kinds of sinful reactions. Okay, so this is a very important point to understand. And the sinful reactions, when we say what are the sins that we are talking about, okay, so whenever we cook, whether it's a non-vegetarian food or a vegetarian food, it has 5 kinds of sinful reactions in it. Okay, any kind of cooking. So all the vegetarians, they should not be very puffed up that, oh, we are vegetarians, so we are very pious people. No, sinful reactions are there. Yes, definitely compared to non-vegetarians, like you will be incurring much lesser sinful reactions. And this non-vegetarian and vegetarian thing is a different topic altogether. I think I should make another video where I can, cite some shastric references or scriptural references, where it is clearly mentioned that how sinful it is, to consume non-vegetarian food stuff. Okay, and how the person who eats them, like they suffer lifetime after lifetimes. Okay, in hellish planetary system. Okay, so this is a different topic of discussion. We'll not deviate right now, but just understand that right now what we are saying, that whatever we cook, that process of cooking itself incurs 5 kinds of sinful reactions. And what are these 5 kinds of sinful reactions? One is mortar and grinder. Okay, whenever you grind a food, okay, that incurs some sinful reactions. When cooking on fire or stove, right, that actually incurs a sinful reaction. When we broom the kitchen, when we clean the kitchen, okay, that is incurring a sinful reaction. And when we are using water pot or any utensils, basically when we are putting it on fire, or maybe trying to cook something, so these are all activities which are incurring sinful reactions. Okay, irrespective of whether you are cooking vegetarian foodstuffs or non-vegetarian foodstuffs. Okay, non-veg food has even far more serious sinful reactions, but we will talk about that later. Okay, but right now, any form of cooking will have these 5 kinds of sinful reactions. Why? Because whenever we perform these 5 activities, okay, motor grinder, fire cooking, brooming, or water pot or utensils, all the living entities which are microscopic in nature, they are troubled. Basically, they are either killed or injured, or whatever. Violence is basically committed against those living entities. Okay, जीव हत्या का पाप लगता है, right? So it's always there, that sinful reaction is always there, and for that a person will have to suffer in the hellish planetary systems. Okay, so what to do? But we have, for our survival, we have to cook, we have to eat, right? So the solution is here. Okay, so when we offer our food to Krishna, Krishna purifies that food. Okay, सर्वधर्मान परित्यज्य माम एकम चरणम व्रज अहम त्वाम सर्व पापेभ्यो मोक्षयिष्यामि मा शुचः. Right, this is what Krishna is saying in the 18th chapter. Forget all the varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. Okay, I will deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. Right, do not have any doubt whether I can do it or not. Do not have any doubt whether I will do it or not. I will do it. Right, simply by offering the foodstuffs to Krishna, the food is actually purified. Okay, and we are actually taking sinless food, or karma free food, as we call it, right? So this is what Krishna does. Whenever the foodstuffs is offered to Krishna, when we offer the food to Krishna, who is getting benefited? Is Krishna getting benefited because of that? Oh, I am offering gulab jamun, so is Krishna not getting gulab jamuns in the Golok Vrindavan? Entire creation belongs to Krishna, right? So, and it's not that only we are offering the foodstuffs to him. He gets it, and he gets it. Srimati Radharani is there to take a very good care of Krishna. Mother Yashoda is there to take a very good care of Krishna. They are giving him the foodstuffs which we cannot even imagine, okay, which we cannot even dream of. Okay, so it's not like that. Okay, that he's getting benefited when we are offering the foodstuffs to him. Okay, it's ultimately we who are getting benefited. Okay, because Krishna is taking away all the sinful reactions in that, from that food, and he's just purifying us by consuming that food as a prasad. We are getting cleansed from within. Okay, he's so just imagine, he's so merciful that he accepts and purifies it, right, and makes it sinless, and that is the prasadam that we take. Okay, and what happens to those who do not offer their foodstuffs to Krishna? Okay, so let's read from the purport. Others who prepare food for sale for one's own sense gratification are not only thieves but are also eaters of all kinds of sins. How can a person be happy if he is both thief and sinful? It is not possible, right? So we have seen that there are 5 kinds of sinful reactions which are there. Okay, in the food that we prepare, in any kind of cooking that we do, right? So ultimately, we are the sinners also. So, like, we already have a tag of thief, people who are not offering it, back to the demigods or offering it back to the Krishna. So that is one. And secondly, we are also sinners, okay, if we do not offer it back, because any kind of cooking incurs sinful reaction, okay. And such a person, such people, they suffer lifetime after lifetime, okay. It's hard to describe, like, the kind of description about the hellish planetary systems is given in the last chapter of the fifth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So those who are interested can go through it. I generally don't like to mention it, okay, publicly. So yeah, please go through it if you have some time, and elaborate descriptions are given there, okay. So this yajna or sacrifice which we are talking about, okay, first offering the foodstuffs to Sri Krishna, okay, and accepting that as prasad. And this is what the devotees do, okay, especially the initiated devotees, they eat only Krishna prasad, okay, okay. And the second, chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, okay, these two things that has to be done, okay. It is very, very practical to do that in this age of Kali Yuga, okay. And it's not something which is very difficult. And by doing these things, it is very clear that anyone who does these two things, okay, chants the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and offers the food stuff to the Lord and accepts only Krishna Prasad, okay, such a person will be freed from all sinful reactions, not just of this lifetime, but all the lifetimes, okay. And this is very much, this guarantee is given by none other than Krishna himself, okay. So it's a very practical tip, okay, and we all should try to implement this in our day-to-day lives, okay. Not nothing very hard. You just take a vrata that, okay, from today onwards I'll chant one round or two round of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. See, for any newcomer, it hardly takes 7 to 7.5 minutes to chant one round, okay. Chanting two rounds will take 15 minutes. Over a period of time, you will, increase in speed. Maybe you will be able to complete your rounds in 5 minutes or 5.5 minutes. Are we so busy that we can't even spare 15 minutes or 15 to 20 minutes for Sri Krishna, who has given us everything? Okay, just ask this question to yourselves and be honest to yourselves, right? Just whatever you are cooking at home, try to cook vegetarian foodstuffs which can be offered to Krishna, okay. And we'll see later on in the 8th chapter where Krishna is saying that what kind of foodstuffs he accepts from the devotees. Patram pushpam phalam toyam yo me bhaktya prayachati tad aham bhaktya upritam ashnami priyatatmana, okay. Patram means leaves, pushpam flowers, phalam, fruits, toyam, water. These are the four things which Krishna is saying that I accept these four things, provided they are offered to me by the devotees, with love and affection. Love and affection, these are the two, primary criteria for Krishna to accept your offerings. And these are the four offerings. Okay, Krishna is not saying that offer me, meatam, pushpam, meatam, fisham, egg, chicken, and all those things. No, non-vegetarian stuff, no, strictly not required. And if you, scientifically see, right, Krishna is talking about fruits, flowers, and patram, pushpam, and leaves. Okay, fruits, flowers, and leaves, and water. So any vegetarian item, okay, anything which is vegetarian, they come under these category. Okay, they are either leaves, they are either fruits, or they are either vegetables or a part of fruits or part of vegetables, right? So it is all covered. So basically, what Krishna is saying, Krishna is also asking us to, consume only vegetarian diet, because that is what that can be offered to Krishna, and offer it with love and affection, and then accept it as a prasad. Your life will be successful. You'll be freed from all the sinful reactions, not only of this lifetime but all the lifetime, right? And just chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra and be happy, right? This is what Krishna is saying. So before concluding, we would like to read the last line of the purport. Therefore, in order for people to become happy in all respects, they must be taught to perform the easy process of Sankirtan Yajna, that is, chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, okay, in full Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, there can be no peace or happiness in this world. We'll keep on struggling lifetime after lifetime, and there will be no respite. Okay, so it's a very practical tip. that we can implement in our day-to-day life. Just chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Take a vrata of chanting 1 round or 2 round, whatever is convenient for you, whatever your routine permits you to do. Okay. But I'm pretty sure that 2 rounds, I think everyone can chant. Okay. 15 minutes is nothing, right? So you can definitely give it to Krishna and cook whatever you cook, just offer it to Krishna first and then accept it as a prasad, right? These are the 2 tips, practical tips of the day for this, from Sloka number 13 that we have taken. And this brings us to the end of this particular session. Okay. So thank you so much for attending. We will meet again next week. We'll try to read Sloka number 14, 15. 2 generally I target. If time permits, we can discuss a third shloka also. But this is the plan so far. So thank you so much once again. We will all meet next week. Till then, Hare Krishna.